Hey everyone, your favorite fabulous fairy here, and I have got a real treat for you. My mama is here. Eee! So my mama is going to be telling us some of her actual spooky stories. I was going to tell you a couple of these secondhand, but you'd rather hear them from her because it's just cooler that way. So, Mama, tell us some stories. Maybe start us off with what happened to you in France, like about the doppelganger and stuff.
Okay, so from like December of 2012 till around September of 2017, I was living in France in the Alsace region. Well, actually not the Alsace region. Now it's on the other side of the mountain. There's a mountain range called the Vosges, and I lived in the Lorraine, which is on the other side of the mountain. Anyway, I was in a 1750 Vosges farmhouse, and the owner of the home I had barely met online, and we'd known each other for a little while, and he was in the wine business and stuff. But anyhow, I was pretty new to the area and everything. And there was this, they call it a garage. So it's like a garage, but what it actually is, it's a barn that's attached to the house. And the animals used to live in there. So the house was built in 1750. So the way it was designed and everything was very, very old-fashioned. And so I was in the garage, which isn't all the way outside, and then there's like a door going to the inside of the house, and then there's a window that you can see on the staircase going up to the second floor from that area right beside the door. And I was out there having a cigarette break, and I watched the other person walking up those stairs. I literally saw them go up, and I was standing out there smoking, and I saw them go past the window and up the stairs, and I thought, okay, well, they're going to go to bed now. I guess that's it. And time to go to bed. As soon as I walked into the house part of the house, that person came out of the bathroom on the downstairs floor had never been up those stairs.
Like, there's no way that could have happened. There's no, like, the stairs don't do, like, a loop or anything, right?
No, and I asked him if they had it. I mean, I tell you what, when I walked in there and I saw him, every hair on my body was, like, straight up.
Because you had just clearly seen somebody going.
It was so natural. It wasn't even like scary. It was normal.
Right. And it didn't become scary until the person that would have been was present in a different area.
Walking right in after I just watched him walk up to, because you have to come up this flight of stairs, turn a corner, and go up that flight of stairs.
That's wild.
And so the flight of stairs you see through the window is the second flight of stairs.
Right.
So literally, the only way that person could have been down there is if they Superman jumped off the first balcony, landed, quick split into the bathroom to come out. That's just surprised me.
That shit's wild.
And we're talking about someone that's in their 50s. So this did not happen.
Right.
Right? So the fact that I just walked into there and they just casually came down, like, you know, zip, I'm like, and I had no words. I just, you know, what are you going to say? Because I'm like, did you just go upstairs? What are you talking about? I went in the bathroom.
And didn't you say you were also, you said something about you being a doppelganger? Like, what was going on there?
At that same house, I heard someone calling my name in a far-off way that sounded like a familiar voice and not in French. Shouldn't be happening.
Right. Because my mom was the only person that speaks English as her primary language in that house. So she was living in France, trying to adapt to living in France and being one of the only people.
So in other words, if you heard a French person say my name, it came out like
Telly. Yeah.
If you hear a Dutch person say my name, it kind of sounds more English, but it still has a little clunk at the end of it.
Yeah.
But just to say my name, like I would say my name's
Terry.
I heard someone from afar going, Terry, Terry, Terry.
Did it sound male or female?
It almost sounded like myself.
That's creepy. I don't like that.
That's the point. But I mean, I don't know whose voice it was, but I say it if I had to say it sounded like myself. That's why I say it sounded American.
And okay, so after, let's jump forward. Well, I'm going to jump around a little bit because I know her story, so I'm just going to pull them out of her. When you were no longer in France, what happened with the computer in you?
Oh. The person I lived with accused me of being a witch. And I had nothing to do with it.
She was good. She was a good girl. She didn't do anything.
I don't know what happened, but they had a laptop that they used every day, like clockwork. And this person is very regimented on how they conduct themselves. So at 5, computer is actually shut down. Like, I'll just flop the lid down. I'm lazy. I don't do it right every time. But this person would hard shut down the computer, boom, and then shut the lid, right?
I don't know anybody who shuts off their device at all unless it died.
Well, old school is at the end of the day, you power down everything, let it cool off, right?
Yeah.
So it's old school. So anyway, so that person is a creature of habit. So I know it's a fact. I hadn't been there in 6 months or whatnot. And I get a very frantic call or an email or text or something of this paranoid person accusing me of all kind of things because apparently when they got up that morning, their laptop was open and one of my pictures that had been taken while I was there, was on the screen just like bam, like hi.
Like your face was just there.
And it was like burned into the screen for no apparent reason, and he couldn't figure out like why it was even up or who turned on the computer or why it would be there. And he accused me of some hocus pocus, but I had nothing to do with it. I was just as shocked as he was, and I was like, you know, if I could do all that stuff, I think of better things to do. Like, I don't know, that was silly.
Right, like you're not gonna haunt him with a photo if you could send a howler, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I've been so bent about a couple of things. If I was really making something, would have blown up by now.
Right.
I would have done something else besides send a silly picture. Yeah. While I was in France, something else really weird happened though, and it was mostly coming out of people. I've got about 3 stories of actually really strange people. I'll tell one of them. So it was a Sunday, and on Sunday, basically, if it's not snowing in the warm months, there's a farmer's market where you can go buy cheeses and chickens and vegetables and whatever, and homemade goods, but mostly edible things you eat. Mm-hmm. And it's an open market, just like Clovis or whatever, just for food. So. But that was a typical Sunday in France. People like to cook and eat and whatnot. And they also like to, go to the cafe, have a beer. They really aren't into soda pop, and there's not like a bagel shop or this or that. It's different. They like to maybe have a little, like a baguette or some cheese or something, or a patisserie, which is a little tart with some fruit, and maybe a beer, even if you're grandma's age or whatever. But, so everybody's kicked back. It's a pretty normal, it's a village-sized place. It's not like a big tourist attraction there. You're like in the just normal people, right? So picture Clovis, but in France. And we're walking down the street, and the guy I'm with, he starts teasing about these 2 older women that are in front because they got jacked up hair. It's like long, but it's scringly, and one of them's like blonde, and the other one's like brunette, and they both got kind of a wide glide rear end, and one of them's real tall, and the other one's real short. And the individual who I'm with has no problem, not passing up an opportunity to have a couple of things to say and have a little snicker joke while you're walking around, Mm-hmm. Anyways, he said, in that place, different people use different words. So a word you might use would be a puppet or a puppet. Like a doll, like a little doll, like a puppet.
Like a voodoo doll.
Well, he was saying something about these 2 aren't real. These 2 are like witches. They're not real. Like, they're not real. Or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a few years back now. But he's teasing me because he's like, look at them. Like, their hair is all wonky, like it's long, but it's all disheveled.
He's like, they're like more like a Muppet than a person kind of situation.
Yeah, like a puppet or something like that. So anyway, poppet. I think he says poppet. Anyway, so whatever he was saying. But I got the gist of it. He was saying this is a comedy, right?
Right.
And so we're walking. It's a Sunday, so everything's closed. Like, they're serious about their Sundays. Everything's closed. If you want to go to the grocery store, you have to get there before 10 because they're closed. And for the rest, you might be able to get a beer or something. But for the rest, everybody's at that farmer's market or at home. So all the shops are closed. So, like, the person I'm with is like 6'4". I'm like maybe 5'2". We're walking. These people, these two women in front of us are kind of the same. One's real dumpy and little, the other's a little taller. And he's doing his little, hey, you know, dot, dot, dot. And I'm like, oh, okay. And the next thing you know, boom, they vanished. No, dude, they vanished. We were like on a sidewalk, and we're like coming up on a block. We got another 500 feet to get to the corner where the cross traffic is. There's a park to our side over here that's open grass all along the row. There's locked doors and closed shops, and we're on a sidewalk headed that way. There's a bar over there, and we're leaving from where we came to see the market.
So you're like going away from where life is.
We're on a straightaway. There's nowhere to run to.
But you're saying all the shops are closed. Like
Dude, there's nowhere to run to. And these two would have been waddlers. There's no way in hell. These weren't no Olympic athletes.
So do you think that these were witches? Do you think you were seeing in the past?
He was saying that, but he was being facetious. He wasn't being like, oh, look, witches. You know, it wasn't like that. He was just like, because they're crazy ass hair.
It looked like a cartoon witch, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like a puppet. Like,
right.
He kept saying, look at the puppets, you know, or puppets, or whatever he's saying. Like, look, you know, and then, you know.
Yeah.
You know, dorky. It was a Sunday. We had a beer. It was like one of those moments, you know. Wasn't really nice, not really polite, but they were out of earshot. He wasn't being loud, and he was just pointing out that they look like that. A guy thing, kind of like. But they disappeared, and when that happened, all of a sudden, that whole conversation changed, because this is a person who's an atheist and isn't really thinking about that, but they would tease me because I kind of, you know, I'm not like against believing in it, and I was like, ooh, is this house haunted and all this kind of stuff. But dude, because where would they have gone? If they would have went to the right, it was open field, it's mown grass, the road to drive on, and we're on the sidewalk, and
right.
then this side is shops,
but they're all closed.
Doors, they're all closed. And then you got to go another, like, say, 100 feet to get to the corner, because we're like halfway down the block. We're not neither near that corner or that corner. We're kind of in the middle.
That's wild.
And they just poof.
But okay, so do you think that they did vanish and they were really physically there? Do you think you were seeing an overlapping timeline from a different time? Or do you think they were just some anomaly?
Well, the beauty of it is I have no flipping idea.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. All I know was it was a Sunday. It was a warm enough day that we weren't, you know, because it snows there, so there was not snow. I remember it, so it would have been spring or summer. We had gone to have a beer and look at the farmer's market. We are walking back to our car that's parked in a parking over here. And these ladies are just waddling in front of us, and he just picked an opportunity to tease about what they look like, because he's a typical man, right?
That's wild.
It was just being a typical man. He wasn't serious. He
right.
wasn't sitting there going, "Oh, these are witches." He was just.
But then they just vanish in front of you, and you're thinking, "Oh shit, were they actually witches?"
It was like they looked like dolls of them,
right.
like puppets or puppets, and he was just teasing because they had like looked like they back teased their hair, but it was long, so it's all sticking out, all wonky. You know what I mean? And you had your blonde and your brunette, and one was tall and one was big, and they both had big butts, and it was kind of like doink, doink, and we're just walking behind them.
Right.
So he just had a little mouthiness to say something, snick, snick, hey, hey. But when we were going, ha, ha, and we looked back, they disappeared.
Yeah, I feel you. I get you. I'm just
like,
trying to think, you know, because France is very old, so the chances of it being something old.
It tripped him out more than me. Because this was the thing. He goes right into Inspector Gadget. Like, he starts looking at all the doors, making sure that they couldn't have just, you know. And then he's tall, so he's looking like, where'd they get to? Like, he can see them, but they're not anywhere. The only other thing is if a trap door opened in the concrete and they just kind of...
I like to think they flipped some invisibility switch, and we're sitting there snickering at him, looking around for them, because they probably could hear the
Or, yeah, they overheard it and it was true, and they just let us tease him back.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it was true.
Snap.
Part of my throat. Yeah, twist, it was true. They heard it and they were like, yeah, definitely, let's get this guy. I love that.
So we did wine tours there the time I was there. That was my profession there, to be like an assistant wine tour guide. So a lot of times if we were going to do a new tour or something, we'd have to go sample the food, drive the route, check the place, find everybody, find who's cooking, find who's making the wines and the quality and this and that. So we are the first guinea pigs. So I believe we were driving back from a guinea pig adventure in Burgundy, it seems like. But we had to cut across the mountain, so it might have been Alsace. I don't remember. Anyway, I remember going through, it was morning, and we were coming back from somewhere, so it wasn't a tour day. We'd gone to do some business, whatever it was. We're coming back, and it's just narrow mountain roads, so you got at least one lane for coming and going. And we're swagging through, and it looks like the Sierras mostly. It doesn't look that much different, except there's deciduous trees mixed in with the pine trees. But you got hills, you got pine tree stuff on the ground, you got granite rocks, occasional ferns, and you're just winding through the mountain on a little road going nee, 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 nee. All of a sudden, we're doing this, and he's minding his own business. He doesn't say anything about anything, and I'm just looking at the road, and I see what appears to be a stick man that looks like someone drew it with a magic marker.
I seen one of them.
With like a dot head, a skinny neck, long, skinny, just one-liner legs and arms, and I see this thing go wank, 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 and jump off the side of the cliff. And at that moment, literally at that moment, that was the only time I ever thought, I wonder if I drank too much in my life. I wonder if I smoked too much in my life. I wonder if this is brain damage. I wonder what the actual F that was. I wonder, is that shadows? I mean, I didn't even tell him. It was so moronic to me to think that I just saw a stick man run by that I thought, surely something's wrong with me. Something is not right. So I didn't say anything. And then later, I'm doing all this research. I'm like, surely, gosh, I can't be right. And I'm looking at stick man and all this kind of stuff. I found one video that was actually from India where people were in a, whatever they call the things where you get in a coach and the guy's running you around.
Mm-hmm.
They're in one of those things, and it's a crowded street, and they're just filming. It's just random vacation in India footage. It's nothing heavy duty. They're just in their little rickety thing going down the road, and there's other people in their little rickety thing. And then you see a stick man literally go boink, 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 and run across the roof of one of those things and just basically go boink, 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 and out of frame.
Okay, so I don't know what the hell that was, but one night I was coming to see you. You were living out there at Grandma's. And literally, we're right there at Herndon. We're making, so Herndon's like a super busy street. You have to stop for like a minute. We're pulled up to go do that. And across the street, it just goes doot, 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 doot. Took like 3 or 4 steps and went across, but it was very tall, 6 or 7 foot tall. It looked like you drew it with a damn Sharpie. It was just a little dot head, a little line body, little line arms, and little line legs. It looked like if a little kid drew a stick figure, but I was seeing it in, projected in midair, going doo, 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 across the street. But it was crossing the street in front of us. And Robbie saw it too, and we were like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, I have no idea what that was.
I Googled it when I was in France, and this was going back probably to around 2014, 2013. Okay. I did find something about it. It is called the stick man, and it was considered a phenomenon. Like, you've heard of Wolfman, vampire,
right,
Mothman, whatever. There's all these different things that more than one person saw.
Right.
This phenomenon only just barely started when I looked it up. It had been long enough to where somebody had written somebody about it, but it's considered a new thing, whatever you want to call it. And the only thing I can think of, I know that Shayna has told me that she believes that when you imagine something enough, you actually create it. So
a topla.
But what if, and this is just me, what if it's that CERN thing? Because between the Mandela effect, and I know for sure a lot of the things that they call the Mandela effect. I was born in 1968. Nobody hit me in the head. I have a very good memory.
Yeah.
Why would I remember the cornucopia on the underwear? Because I helped my mom fold my dad's damn whitey tighties, and I'd seen 100. He never bought any other kind of underwear. He had 100 pair of tidy-whitey Fruit of the Looms and like 100 hankies. Men don't even carry hankies anymore.
No,
But and he'd always wear a white T-shirt, his Fruit of the Loom drawers, and he had a hanky, and all that went in the bleach pile. So it was never. I mean, and that's not the only thing I remember, but it's one of the.
What about Berenstein Bears?
Yeah,
you got us. My mom got us the Berenstein Bears video.
Whatever
for the computer.
It's supposed to be now is not what it was then.
They say it's bear stain, but the thing is this.
Yeah, that even doesn't sound good.
No,
nobody would call something bear stain on purpose.
No, nobody would say that. But here's the thing.
Bear stain. That don't even sound.
Do you remember the computer game you got us for me? Because I'm dyslexic. Okay, every now and then in one of my posts, you'll still catch me with a typo that I missed or the computer missed, whatever. I own it. Whatever. My mom got me the Berenstein Bears English and spelling CD so that we could learn how to read and write, okay? And it was like, what the fuck? You know, my sister and I would play that game all the time. And when you put it in, welcome to the Berenstein Bears, da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, I learned how to read and write with that thing.
I did used to buy them a lot of audio tapes from Disney and everywhere. Like, I was always buying them, like, anything cool and educational. But whatever happened, something happened. So, like, if you're, like, maybe 25, 30, you're not going to remember everything that someone's older because you would have already been born after it already changed.
Right.
So, like, if they tell you it's like this, you're going to, okay.
Yeah, right.
What do you care? You weren't there to see it, so
right.
Nobody's fooling with your memories. But if you were there older, you're all going, oh, wait a minute.
Okay, here's one that really gets to me. Do you remember that movie, scary movie, where the guy was all creepy and had one little hand? My sister and I love this movie. You don't remember it? And he's like, take my strong hand. And he had the little creepy hand, and the guy was out the window. Okay, my mom doesn't remember that. But
No.
that's the one that really upsets me. For the freaking comment below if you remember this. Scary movie, and the dude with the little hand, and he's all, take my strong hand, when the guy's falling out the window, and he hands him the little creepy hand. He's like, no, I don't want to touch it. Now, they say he doesn't say that. He says, now, take my other hand. That's my good hand. What the heck? Why are you changing that?
I got to see Star Wars when it first came out, and like every kid, especially
Luke,
my brother.
I am your father.
Dude, do you know how many years?
Into a fan.
Dude, how many years did I have to hear them playing that and repeating that and repeating that and repeating that? Every little boy on Earth, on the bus,
Yeah.
in the room,
Yeah.
with their toys.
Yeah.
What the hell? And then it's different? Come on. I couldn't have heard that 2 more times. It would have blown my own head off because that was, everybody was saying it.
Right. And now you're saying that never happened?
That never happened.
Ah! Okay. All right. That's crazy. Let's,
That's what I'm saying. Like, if anybody wants to say, oh, you see weird shit. Well, so do birds. You know, there's these things called rod and cones, and different people have different light wave absorption. If you take mushrooms, it can activate a different part of your eye, but some people actually do have more perception of different light waves. They'll call people like with the veil or, you know, what do they call it? The seeing or something. But basically, for all the hardcores, whether you know it or not, you're surrounded by energy. There's all kinds of crap you can't see. I can't see it. Well, no, duh. But maybe a butterfly can, or a bird. They see a whole different spectrum of light. So to down anybody's abilities, look, if they're asking you for a nickel and trying to sell you how to solve your love life, you know, get what you pay for. But at the same time, when people are sharing their experiences with you, nobody's claiming to know it all. Like, what was it? Who the hell knows what it is? Even if they tell you you're going to heaven.
right.
What the hell? You're still alive. You're not going to know it till after you're dead, so keep your advice to yourself, right?
Right.
Unless you're coming back from the other side. So we're all living by faith, and we're all living by our own personal experience, and we're all trying to make sense of it. And a lot of it, I think, is explainable, but we don't ask the right questions.
I agree. And I think that you were right, though. A lot of people's perception, cats see different than dogs, see different than snakes, see different than birds, see different than fish. Everything has vision of some sort. Even blind mole rats can sense things through vibrations, but like everybody's ability to see is different.
And some birds know when to fly south for winter, and crows can make you money. So never judge a book by its cover or try to understand somebody else's gifts. That's what I'm trying to say is just like, positive and negative comments. You know, a sucker's born every day, but a critic ain't no fun to be around. You know what I'm saying? Because you can get a whole bunch of people to follow some idiot down a cliff because he's got charisma and everybody wants to hear what he has to say. And then everybody, after the fact, to look at those people and call them fools. But if you sit it and you're all stubborn and you don't believe in anything, I gotta tell you, you're goddamn boring. First of all, because there's stuff happening all day long that nobody sent you the memo. Ain't none of your business. You ain't paying attention, so shut up. You're not even in the conversation.
You're not in the conversation, yeah.
But there's other people that experience weird stuff, and just because they're telling you they experience some weird stuff, you don't automatically have to jump on there on dope or something because you didn't experience any weird stuff.
Right. Well, if I float across your For You page and you're one of those people who's like, oh, she needs mental help or she needs to get on her meds or whatever, first of all, I've never been on meds. Second of all, my mental health is fine. And third of all, like, you know, for your entertainment, take it or leave it. I don't give a shit. Believe me, don't believe me. Like,
but
you
there's
listen
another
to the story,
thing. Some people will see everything one view from, like, say there's 3 people that watch an accident. They're all going to have 3 different points of view.
Right. But the accident happened one time.
So that's another thing. Some people experience things and, like, they can walk in a room and pick up on energy and they get all weirded out. And other people, they're just looking for the ham sandwich or the cake or whatever. They're not picking up on nothing.
Right.
Their mind's in a different earthly state. They're not sensitive. They're not into everybody's feelings. They're not picking up on art. They're not picking up on aroma. They're not picking... So there's all these different levels of sensitivity. And all I'm just saying is the fun part that I've always found about all of this stuff is kind of in not knowing what happened. Like, you kind of think you might know, but you don't really know.
Right. You'll never really know, no matter what it is. Okay, take a second and think about what is your all-time favorite ghost story, either because it was the scariest or the funnest or whatever. Go ahead and have a sip and whatever, and then we'll do that last one.
Okay, so for me, probably the best ghost story I ever had started in my first memories of childhood, basically. It really had nothing to do with me, but I was there. So, back in the day when my mom was young, so I think she was 26 when I was born, so I was 3. I was our first kid. My parents got married when they were 17 and 19. This was back in the 50s when they got married, and I was born in 68. And needless to say, I was well taken care of. I was very spoiled. My mom, she just had me, and she just really took good care of me. And my dad had an electrical company. They were doing fine. They didn't have any worries. And my mom was over visiting her mom at her house, and her little sister was, I think, 17 or something. She hadn't even moved out yet, but she had a boyfriend. And her boyfriend was a Vietnam guy, and he was home, but he had I think what they call a road runner car. So it had a distinctive pipes. She could tell the pipes, the boom, boom, boom sound that when he came down the road, she really knew it. And it had a special horn, so if you honked it, it made the sound, the beep, beep, like road runner cartoon. Anyway, so my aunt was 17, so she heard him coming down the road. I guess I'm getting the story ahead of myself. My mom is sitting in my grandma's living room, and the rocking chair's right here, and she's in a corner. Old-fashioned maple rocking chair. And then my grandma and my Aunt Frances are sitting on a couch on this wall, and behind them would be the kitchen, and this way is going to be like a sliding glass door, and then down that way is going to be the bedrooms and bathrooms. And my mom... back in the day, used to shop at Kmart, and when you would get to the end of where you're going to go pay, there'd be these little booklets and magazines like they have today for last-minute ideas, right? And so she saw a little booklet. It was no bigger than that, but it said White Witchcraft on it, and just being curious and nosy, she picks it up. And she read through it, and she was sitting in that rocking chair, and she's telling my grandma and my aunt, she's just talking, telling her about what she had read in this book. And I was tired. It was a warm day, so I was laying on the carpet in front of her. And my mom was saying, yeah, and if you light white candles, and you have to have a bowl of water at the foot of your bed, but you go to sleep, you light these white candles, that any bad spirits that are in the room will have to go into the water. And she goes, it says, don't even let a dog drink it. You have to throw it down the toilet. Right as she said that,
she heard a growl and a hot breath came on her neck that she felt. And it scared her so bad, she froze. She never saw it. She was in mid blah, 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 and she just went. And it wasn't because she couldn't move. She is scared. And my aunt and my grandma heard it. And so once the shock wore off, they are looking around like, what was that? Can't see nothing behind her. She's in a corner. There's no painting, nothing. So they get all these bright ideas. So they're running around the house looking to see if a rake or a hoe or something had been laid on the side of the house and fell off, or a shovel or whatever.
Yeah, something fell.
They can't find anything. My mom said she felt it. She said it wasn't just the sound.
It was the hot breath.
And her story never changed. It was like she felt an air of some kind. And there was no vent, all the things it could have been. No, she's just sitting in a maple rocking chair in the corner, shooting her mouth off about what she read.
Right.
And so, it's, I guess, dusk or coming down dusk or whatever. And my Auntie Lane, who's only 17, and she's in her bedroom because she still hasn't moved out of the house yet, hears Uncle Don, which was to be my Uncle Don, his pipes on his Gran Torino or whatever it was.
Roadrunner, you
Roadrunner.
said. Yeah.
He had the Roadrunner for sure. Okay. Whatever it was, boom, 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 coming around the corner. She goes out there like, hey, nobody's there. Not only not him, but nobody's there.
Right.
And she said, as she's turning around, we had a 1968 Camaro with a black hardtop, and it was a forest green color. And that's what we rode into town with it. My aunt said she saw someone sitting in the front seat, like with a red cherry, like they were smoking a cigarette, because it was dark outside now.
Right.
And she said when she seen that glow, it freaked her out, so she started getting back in the house. And she said when she started going, she heard like footsteps running behind her, but there was nothing there.
But something trying to get in the door.
But she could audibly hear like the sound of it, and then the screen door slammed, and that was it. But then my mom, after that, I was only 3, so I heard this story like a million times growing up.
Right.
And I kind of recall being there. I mean, I don't recall the sounds and all that, because
Right.
I recall them talking about it.
Right.
But what ended up happening is my mom, be it real or be it not real, for about 6 months could not sleep with the light off.
That's wild. That's...
I'm going to leave it at there for today for my stories.
That had an effect. Yeah, no, that had an effect. Thank you so much, Mommy. I love you so much.
Yeah.
If you guys like this, like, share, subscribe, comment below if you have any encounters like this. And if you want to hear more stories from my mom, make sure you say something about it, because maybe I can have her back on again. All right, love you guys. Bye.
Toodles.